No, you gave examples. I just asked for some examples. You gave great examples. Okay, so you hopped from the DMV to LA. Tell me about that travel experience.
It was a wonderful experience.
Do you know what year that was?
That was top of 2020 for the extended period. The first time I went was 2016. Just because I'd always just hear anybody that I respected that, went and did anything with their lives musically outside of just like a local circuit. Say, oh man, you gotta go to LA. Like, you got a great sound. Like, they love you out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't know anything about LA. I was like, okay, cool, LA. Kept hearing it. I always thought it was like Brooklyn, you had to go because that's what Tumblr told you, whatever. But everybody's like, no, you gotta go to, with that sound, you gotta go to LA or Atlanta. And I was like, okay, whatever, let me just try LA. I'd had talks with my mom about it before she passed. And she's like, all right, you've been saying LA, you should just go. And so I went for 2 weeks. And I was like, let me just go for 2 weeks and just see what it's like. I guess as an omen, when I first got there, the first place I pull up to, there's a studio. Metro Boomin's walking out of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so that's what this is like. I walk in, Young Berg, who was at the time transitioning into Hitmaker, he's coming out the back.
Yeah.
Brightest chain I've ever seen in my life. I was like, yo, you're Young Berg. He's like, oh, yo, what up, man? I was like, yo, this is like being on like a TV show or something like that, when just all the famous people just pop up, all the cameos. And so I'm in the break room and there's supposed to be cookies. All the cookies are gone. I was like, what happened to all the cookies? And I was like, oh, Wale's in the other room. He took them all. And I was like, okay, that's what this is like. This is like, okay, this being around everybody you've ever heard of. And I was like, I can imagine if I was here, just being constantly surrounded, these can become my peers. And then just by default,
I just have to mentally allow yourself to be used to that.
Right.
That environment.
That, and you just might trip and fall into success just because you're surrounded by everyone else is successful. Just by association, you might, luck up on something. Yeah. Still got to be good, but
you still have to do work.
You still have to do work, but rather than not being around, just your peers all the time, your everyday average working class people every day that don't, are in this field. We talk about music, we critique it, but we're not the ones putting it on the radio. We're not the ones, we put it on local radio stations, but we're not the ones coming down from the head office, putting it to every radio station in America and on shows and then, everything. We start to think of the business. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. The Mecca is there. Got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
So it didn't click. I went back the next year, 2017, had another studio session, and I'm in the room with this guy. His name is Anthony Clemens. Goes by Ant Clemens now, who's a acclaimed multi-Grammy winning writer. At the time, he's working at Red Lobster, doing what I was doing. We're just in a studio session together.
Yeah.
And so, I'm here for 2 weeks, just figuring out the music thing. He said, well, first of all, the first thing you're doing wrong is you got to be here way longer than 2 weeks. He said, you got to be here at least 2 months for something to really pop off, and even that's not enough time.
Yeah.
That's stuck in my head for whatever reason up until 2020. That's during the pandemic. During the pandemic, which I was stuck in the house, but 2021 is when I went to LA this last time. The reason it stuck in my head, I remember I was on the plane going home, 2017. Get a call. Who's it? It's Ant. Yo, where you at? I was like, I'm on the plane. Yo, I'm going to Lil Wayne's house right now. I'm like, I'm on the plane. He's like, bro, I don't know what to tell you. At that point, he was like, what are you doing? You want to do the music thing or you want to go back home? And in that point, I wasn't in the space that I was in 2020 where I was like, all right, this life thing, the way I wanted to be, I'm in charge of it.
Yeah.
And no one is going to just like, oh, well, hey, Wayne, he's on the plane, but like, once he gets back, he'll be back.
Yeah.
No one's doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, these opportunities are here. The door is open. You have an invitation to Lil Wayne's house.
And folks are willing to open the door for you.
Right. You can go, or you can stay on the plane and be comfortable and go back to what you know. It's like red pill or blue pill situation.
Yeah.
So, I was like, 2021, I was like, I have another opportunity. It's right in my face. I got the stimulus check. This is this extra money. You know, they say it's not yours, it's that, it's the government. I was like, it's money. It's a chunk of it that if I just buy a plane ticket and an Airbnb, I can just not think about it. And when it comes up, I'm in LA.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, that's what it was. And then I went there and then I started using my gifts. The moment I started doing that, doors started opening.
Yeah.
Then another door opened, another door opened. I thought I was supposed to be going home. Oh, but this other door is opening. Lil Wayne kept that figuratively, like I kept getting invited to Lil Wayne's house and I kept choosing because I remember I was like, oh, the last time I got on the plane and I had back to my regular life and nothing changed.
And you never let that go. And
I never let it go. I kept hearing Ant's voice in my head. You got to be longer than 2 weeks. So like, originally I said 3 months. 3 months turned into 4 months, which turned to 6 months, which turned into 9 months. And then like, I'm here just for the wintertime back home. And in that whole time, it's just like a blur. I'm just doing everything. I'm working with everyone. I'm meeting like everyone on TV. It's like, okay, I got it. So definitely, I mean, I came home to get like grounded a little bit and just a game plan of when I go back, like, all right, how am I gonna sustain this for even longer period of time? But it's like, it's like in a movie, if you go into another dimension and you pick up all these powers and you pick up all this information and you go back to your normal life, you say, oh, cool, how can I apply this here? How can I use these skills that I've learned? How can I use these like people skills? How can I use what I've learned in the studio to just make everything I do back home better?
Yeah.
Or like a better version of what I was already doing. So, and you know, you have some cool new friends that can make some stuff happen, you know, which is fun. But yeah, LA was beautiful.
When you came back, how aware were you of the resources or certain environments that may be lacking on this side?
Instantaneously.
Like, give me an example.
Instantaneously, when I physical resource. There is a music studio that was like 5 minutes away from where I was staying. I think it's $17 an hour. And it's like a bunch of rooms. There's always a room open. There's a practice space. Everything's $17. Before,
Kinda like the Dreamville spot where there was always a studio available for someone to go to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a college student type space, where it's like it felt like me being a college student, always having like a studio just able to use. The thing is, if you were signing people up, you get like $20 off. So as soon as you get free studio time, I'm gonna take credit for them changing it from a $40 credit to a $20 credit, because me and my friend at the time, he's actually playing drums for Aaron Ray.
Okay. Aaron Ray is amazing.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
It was Aaron Ray's drummer. I was staying with Aaron Ray's drummer, right? And so he's from Cleveland. He's like, oh, I'm about to be calling all my partners back home. They about to be like, they ain't gonna have to. I'm gonna put it under his name that day. We about to be in there like for hours. So we made a whole mixtape. So we got like, pretty much we finessed the game of getting like so many $40 credits that they changed it. Oh, now it's only a $20 credit. But still, it's $17 an hour. So you can imagine we're in there for like 10, 15 hour blocks, just doing work. Like, that's the quickest I've ever got like a project done. And this is like in 2 weeks.